Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses, highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs, and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580. And
I always love it when our Wealth Building Wednesday honorees, spotlight persons come into the studio. It's way much more fun. So joining me now is an entrepreneur with 10 years plus of experience building companies to solve global problems. That's what I would characterize as socially innovative. One of the things that we definitely spotlight here. She's focused on textile waste and enabling circularity in fashion in order to save natural resources and mitigate textile landfill waste and dumping. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I'll let her tell you about it. Irys Kornbluth with Everywhere is joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Dominique.
Yeah,
this
thanks
is
for
super
coming
fun.
in. We've been talking about it forever. We're finally making it happen.
I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us about the company itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So Everywhere is the first circular apparel company. So what we do is we make apparel out of 100% recycled fibers. So we're sourcing waste and then we're shredding it down and converting it back into new clothing. And then at the end of the garment's life cycle, you can actually return that back to us and we'll do the same thing again. So we're committed to keeping textiles and fashion circular and keeping things out of landfills, which there's a huge issue today with overproduction of apparel. A lot of that product actually ends up getting sold to brokers, shipped overseas, polluting other continents. So it's not something we may necessarily see, but it's a major issue that's plaguing the planet, not to mention the carbon emissions of actually making clothing out of virgin cotton fibers or
plastic
or
all kinds of weird stuff. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many issues around this, and one of them is that what you said about landfills, it's a finite resource. Like, we just can't continue to crowd the planet with our garbage.
Right.
These are the things that keep me up at night. I do think that I was reading about how that plastic junk and other kinds of waste that we normally or previously could just send to China or whatever, people don't want it anymore.
Yeah, they don't want it anymore. I think, those continents are developing their own circular systems where they're recycling their own waste. And that was really a function of they were sending us so much product that we had all these empty containers going back. So it was like, okay, let's just throw the trash in there. But now also people want traceability about that waste. Customers are asking for it. Like the younger Gen Z consumers
Yay,
care
Gen Z,
about it.
go Gen Z.
So they're not wanting to see this waste getting shipped overseas, dealt with unresponsibly. They're wanting to see brands have some sort of recycling pathway for them, or municipalities have textile recycling ability. So that's kind of shifting the conversation and sparking a lot of innovation in this area.
So circular means the whole thing is staying, inside the industry and it's not producing, hopefully, much waste. It's almost hard to do anything without producing any waste, right?
Right.
But it minimizes it. And when you say when it reaches the end of the life cycle, like I'm not going to wear this favorite T-shirt anymore, I send it back to you guys and you recycle it?
Yeah. So you can go on our website. It's everywhereapparel.com. We have like a mailer, you can get one. And we'll send it to you. You could just put your clothing in there, send it back to us. And so we do that. You can send us any other garments, but it's very much so about our own product too. We don't want to produce anything that can't be recycled. And this is why in our products, we only use 100% recycled cotton, because it's one material. It's easier to recycle than a blended fabric. So when you blend little plastic polyester fibers with cotton fibers, it then becomes super difficult to separate those materials and recycle them. So yeah, we have one material. We try to keep it in circulation as much as possible.
It seems like it's really hard to even find 100% real cotton stuff now.
Yes, it is. Something, in the 80s, I think those blends became super popular, or they became cheaper.
Cheaper,
and,
yeah.
Easier to produce in volume. And there's some international trade regulations, too, around getting those blends across borders more easily. So they're called CVC blends. It's like the technical term, but it's really easy to like import-export them.
Sounds toxic. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is part of, it's not just the apparel that you make at Everywhere. It's also you source T-shirts and stuff for other folks that want to have a product that's sustainable, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we will help. We do a lot of work in the music industry. So when artists come back from tour, they always have extra merch that didn't sell. So we'll help them take that product. We can detrim it, basically cut it back down into little pieces, shred it down, and try to respin it into new merch for them. And then
Wow.
we do all sorts of, we do like big music tours. We do company uniform programs where you have a lot of employees cycling through and, they can recycle uniforms and stuff like that. And then we do, small business merch, coffee shops, you name it. We have our customer base is like really broad.
So in other words, if I'm a band and I want to have a sustainable merch, I can go to you and get the stock for that.
Absolutely,
The
yeah.
shirts or whatever it is.
Yeah. We're shipping a lot of summer tours right now. So you'll see hopefully some of our products on the road. The way to identify our products is we always have a QR code. It's either in the neck or the side of the T-shirt. And so that QR code is what you scan. You can send it back to us. You can learn about the sustainability of the product, the impact of the product, how it's keeping textiles out of landfills, and saving all the natural resources involved in growing cotton. I mean, growing cotton is like such a polluting, water-intensive process.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the website and it's saying, it's talking about synthetic fibers that people call recycled. I never thought about that. I think, a lot of times if I have on a synthetic fiber, it's because I just saw something on sale and I bought it.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
think
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
I
for
was at
sure.
some discount spot. Not happy to say that, but they're calling it recycled, but it's really not.
Yeah,
It's not
I mean, it's
sustainable.
not sustainable because unfortunately with fabric, you have to like chop the materials up into these tiny fibers. And so when you're making polyester fabric or fiber to put into a blend, you're actually just creating what are called microplastics. And it's something people are starting to talk about more, where we're actually ingesting a lot of plastic when we drink water.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
and they don't even have good data on what that does to the human body.
Yeah.
That is really one of the things that keeps me up at night, because the microplastics, as we see the rise in all these different diseases,
Yes.
it makes me wonder how much of this is attributable to microplastics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And some of these plastics are so small they can cross like the blood-brain barrier. I mean, they're just like tiny when you look at polyester fabric.
It means
like,
literally
yeah.
getting into your head. I
Yeah.
mean, and literally getting into the command center.
Yeah.
And our bodies don't know how to process that, and we're
No.
getting it from everywhere. So I think, these are the kinds of things you don't necessarily ponder when
Yeah.
you're thinking about your wardrobe or the hoodies for your next tour or your coffee shop.
Right.
But it's nice to know that there are people pondering it and doing something about it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. There's right now, fashion is a pretty unregulated, area.
Really?
So yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's been stopping brands from like overproducing. And that's really like one of the main problems is there's just this excess of post-consumer waste. Like Goodwill can't even handle all the stuff they're getting.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're looking into ways to recycle. We've had some conversations with them. So
wow.
there's one region. So, for example, the Southern California region of Goodwill, they're processing 7 million pounds of textiles a year.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Just one region. Yeah. So, and then they can only resell 60% of it. And, that goes on, it gets resold once. They don't track if it comes back again. But only 60%, that's 40% on 7 million that just gets brokered out. and shipped by the container. Usually, I mean, a lot of product goes to West Africa. A lot of product goes to...
Now, when you say product, this is already chopped up?
No, it's
or
just
this
like
is
old
just
clothes.
old clothes.
Old clothes.
Tons and tons of old clothes.
Yeah.
And the brands are producing more than they sell, and then just
No
offloading it
accountability.
as trash, as opposed to like doing
Yeah.
anything else with it.
Exactly. Some brands at the end of life incinerate it, so they just burn it. But most of them
Which
will
is
just
also
not
scary
track
if it's microplastics and all
It's
kinds
bad.
of chemicals. That
Yeah.
means instead of going into the blood-brain barrier, we're breathing it in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this is a cheery conversation, Irys Kornbluth. This went south really quick.
No.
But I mean, talk to me about the technology piece, and is this, because I've spent a good deal of time in West Africa, and one of the things that I've been perplexed about is the amount of plastic you just see everywhere. Just you could be in this pristine, beautiful forest, and there's like bottles
Wow.
and water bottles, and these they're like water pouches. They're like plastic bags that they sell water in Africa, and they're just strewn everywhere and in the middle of
That's crazy.
nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, talk to me about the science behind what you're doing and how if it's catching on or not.
Yeah, I mean, it is catching on, so we get a lot of
Yay.
interest on this. I think
Okay.
more people care, especially, if we're talking about like artists, musicians, they want to make an impact, and so there's a lot of intent there to do something that's more responsible. And then I think trying to hit this younger demographic of shoppers that is very QR engaged, so they're really engaged with their phones. They want to interact with their products. That has also been a good fit for us. But I mean, scientifically, really what we're doing, it's pretty simple. We're sourcing all different types of cotton waste. So we do a lot of manufacturing cotton waste, a lot of that dead stock overproduction that just sits in warehouses, doesn't get sold, and then a decent amount of post-consumer, which is like after a person's already worn it, collecting that back, and then shredding it down and respinning it. And we use some enzymes to kind of soften the fabric. When it goes through that process, like it goes through super hot water, so it's sterilizing the fibers completely. And one of the nice things about recycling textiles is that you don't necessarily have to dye them, because when you shred down, let's say, 1,500 red T-shirts, the resulting fiber is red. So then you don't have to, use the dye chemicals or further immerse it in, super hot water using that much energy for 2 hours. So there's like compounding impacts of recycling that are beneficial to everyone.
And it, of course, one thing about real cotton, it feels nicer.
Cotton is great. Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of forgotten how nice cotton is,
Yeah.
with all these blends and synthetics. And it can even be a good, performance fabric if you coat it with, some good finishes, wash it nicely.
Performance meaning for athletes.
Sports.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So then for people that want to use your product, like, okay, I'm going on tour, or I have a coffee shop. What do they do to start getting your product as part of their supply chain?
Yeah, totally. Just go to our website. It's everywhereapparel.com, or actually, if you Google recycled T-shirt, I think we're the top at this point. You can set up a wholesale account. That will give you access to our discount wholesale prices. And then we have a sales team that is really readily reachable. They'll actually reach out to you right away.
And you'll be able to get whatever the basic stock that you'll print on then.
Exactly, yeah. And we also
Or
offer
whatever.
printing services too.
Okay,
just
so
to
you
make
can
it
do the
easy.
whole deal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know if you can share this, but can you talk about like any of the bands or organizations that do use your company?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some work recently with Tame Impala. We just shipped a tour for a band called Wilco. There's a few other artists in our pipeline through the rest of the year that are very exciting.
That's
but probably
amazing.
too early to talk about them. But
Okay.
yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up.
Well, and I also just want to, I want to give you guys some flowers on the fact that I feel like when someone starts something like this and it catches on, a lot of people copy. And if we're copying
that's
things that, that save the planet, then that's actually kind of good momentum.
It is good momentum, yeah, and we're kind of all about that. We actually sell our materials to other brands, so we work with brands like Coach, a couple other luxury companies who just buy our fabric. So we're very open to open sourcing this whole thing. I do think one of the things that makes us unique is we have certifications that are kind of difficult to get. That would take time for someone else to get them. So that's a leg up that we have. But we're definitely excited to see sort of like other companies popping up in this area.
Well, this is a great conversation. Irys Kornbluth, what do you want to leave us with today? What do you want people to think about on the way out the door?
Oh my God. I think maybe just next time you shop, maybe look at that care and content label. I think, people don't do that very frequently, but if you look at it and kind of think about what are the materials that are in that product. I think also that, there's so much opportunity buying secondhand today. I thrift all the time and I love it. And I know it's becoming more popular, but
yeah, thrift is a thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And if they're not even able to process all the stuff they have, maybe that's a good thing.
Yes, we need to thrift more.
Irys Kornbluth, thank you so much for being with us. It is everywhereapparel.com.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect time to call me if you got something to say. 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm of Irys, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@kbla1580.com. That's advertising at kbla1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
What does it take on Alzheimer's? Awareness that nearly 2/3 of those diagnosed are women, including Black women. Dedication to lowering your risk by eating healthy and monitoring blood pressure. And confidence to talk to your healthcare provider about screening and early detection. You have what it takes to take on Alzheimer's. Learn about signs and screening at takeonalz.com. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to...
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Not feeling like yourself lately? Has your weight loss plateaued? If so, it's time to embrace the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, a cleansing regimen that can help you lose 10 to 30 pounds. The D-Herbs Cleanse also helps to boost the immune system, improve mental clarity, clear up your skin, and improves your digestion. This cleanse is like a factory reset for your health. The Full Body Cleanse is a great way to propel you into a healthier lifestyle. With summer just around the corner, there's never been a better time to initiate that weight loss and reboot your system. Go to dherbs.com and order your full body cleanse today or call 866-434-3727. Enter KBLA 1580 at checkout for a discount. D-Herbs. Experience healing.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Conversation continues right now. I'd love to hear from you. As always, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. What y'all want to talk about? I admit I was not studying last night. I was celebrating and partying. But I want to, direct you to jump in on Instagram if you want to, because last Thursday's conversation between Mama Boo and West Coast Cam has turned into a whole situation on Instagram where they're arguing about the role of the man and the woman in producing children and caring for our children. So I love to hear your thoughts on that. Really happy to meet and talk with Irys Kornbluth, because what she's doing is tracking with what we're doing here, what we're looking to do here on KBLA Talk 1580, which is not just amplify voices of Black folks working in the space. Yes, that's important, but also making sure, just as we do in our reparations conversation, that we are well informed, that we know what the options are, we know what's going on, and we know where the pressure points are, whether it be, the production of minerals for our beloved and oh so toxic cell phones, in the Congo, or whether it be, here I am wearing the plastics we were just talking about in that last segment, reviewing everything from how sustainable is our food to how sustainable are our garments. I mean, really, I'm over here worried about microplastics, and I might be taking some in through my skin right now as we speak. Reviewing sustainability in our food. What does that mean? It means whenever possible, buy the thing that's in season, that's locally grown. Farmers markets are part of that chain. Why? Because it's usually local farmers that feed the farmers markets. That means that food didn't have to be shipped in a plane from a place where, peaches are still in season in December. That's burning fuel to move that food, not to mention who knows what they're using to preserve it so it can make that trip. It means that it doesn't have to be driven by truck far away, burning fossil fuels to bring it to your market, where, we see some of those fruits and vegetables that have some kind of weird waxy coating on them that's meant to keep them preserved forever, like a wax museum. Our produce section should not be a wax museum. And I really appreciate the conversation on this Wealth Building Wednesday with Irys, because it reminds us to check in and take inventory. I am a person who is concerned about the climate emergency, unlike the former president, who is very much of a denier and has been back to denying the climate crisis. If I'm someone who's concerned about the climate emergency, who literally thinks about it, what can we do? Is it possible? Is it too late? Well, I've been reading a lot about this, and it turns out it's not too late. It's not too late. This idea that it's too late to save our planet is actually something the big polluters want us to believe, because then we will throw up our hands and give up. But it is not too late. We are still within the range of, if we reimagine the way we are consuming products, the way we are transporting ourselves, even what we wear and what we eat, it is not too late. And not only do we need to take personal accountability, which is step by step. I mean, you're not going to magically be green and sustainable in everything you do by Tuesday, but step by step and being aware of it. But I think even more important than that is demanding this of the large corporate polluters. You make a difference, I make a difference. You switch from plastic straws to paper ones, or decided you don't need a straw at all. That's great. You decided to do everything you can to stop using single-use plastics. That's great. But it's the mass polluters that we have to hold accountable. And to be honest with you, we are the only ones that can do it. Just like Simhotep is out there picketing at Netflix today because they're mad about this reboot of Good Times, and from what I've seen, rightly so. But at the same time, just as we're seeing prices come down a little bit because consumers are saying, nah, we're not paying that. And so the corporate gouging is starting to slightly taper back. It's what we demand from our corporations that make the difference. And we have to demand no more single-use plastics. Stop forcing me to ruin my children and grandchildren's planet by packaging your products in this way. Those are the people that pollute on such a mass level. Just another reason not to vote for He Who Shall Not Be Named in 2024. News, traffic, and sports, then your phone calls on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for sharing a part of your Wednesday with us. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to approve a $17 billion investment deal with Disney World. The New York Sun says the deal will be announced today that could include new additions to the theme park, as well as commitments from Disney to help develop housing for its employees, with Florida promising to maintain the necessary infrastructure for the park. We're now learning that Sean Diddy Combs is selling his stake in his media company, Revolt. Facing multiple lawsuits accusing the African-American rapper of sexual assault, Sean Combs agreed to separate from the company he founded. Revolt began more than a decade ago, meant to be a music industry-focused cable channel promoting black representation. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Congrats to the Angels and manager Ron Washington. The Angels' second straight victory over San Diego Tuesday night gives the Angels their first series win at home this season. The Angels have been struggling at home with a 9-21 record, the worst in the major leagues. The Dodgers were shut out for the fourth time this season. Pittsburgh needed only one run to get the win. The Dodgers were 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. More drama for WNBA rookie Angel Reese. The Chicago Sky forward suffered her first ejection of the season in last night's game against the New York Liberty. Reese was hit with 2 technicals for protesting a call. Part 1 of Clipped, the mini-series about former Clippers owner Donald Sterling, made its debut last night on Hulu. Lawrence Fishburne plays the part of former Clippers coach Doc Rivers in the 6-episode series. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Medicare Fraud Prevention Week focuses on the actions everyone can take to prevent Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse. Learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones by joining the Senior Medicare Patrol, or SMP, for Medicare Fraud Prevention Week, June 3rd through the 9th. Learn more at snpresource.org or by calling 1-877-808-2468.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Man, it feels like, doesn't it feel kind of like, and I'm always one that says, I'm not we're going to hell in a handbasket. I'm not on that committee. But it sure feels like just all hell is breaking loose in this country right now. And, I don't know if it was the Republicans grilling Merrick Garland, like, what you didn't want, you hated Black Lives Matter for saying defund the police, and now you're saying defund the police. I mean, basically, defund the FBI. How is that different from defund the police? The level of immaturity and ignorance that's happening in the Congress is like alarming. I was looking at a report last night, yesterday afternoon, in between my revelry, about how the European communities are fixated on actually it was on Joy Reid, that's who it was on our election, because they feel that if he who shall not be named, the 45th president who seeks to be the 47th president, the one we now could call 34 for his 34 felony convictions, if he's reelected, they feel like, I'm talking about the European nations that were featured in this report, they feel like it's a wrap for our democracy. And, all of that sort of rhetoric that we've grown up on about America being the stable democracy, the shining city on the hill, blah, 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 American exceptionalism. Not that progressives bought that, full line, but there is something to this conversation that makes me think about how even I, as a progressive who believes the true patriot, in the words of Frederick Douglass, is the one who points out the flaws, the challenges in her country and works to correct them. Even those of us who have never seen the United States, I love my country, but I know it's not perfect. I know we have some terrible, terrible history that we need to continue to repair. I realize that I've always kind of taken for granted the fact that at least our democratic norms would stand in terms of having elections, having the person who's elected, who wins the election, even if they, lose the popular vote. But until we get rid of the Electoral College, whoever wins the election through the Electoral College goes into office. All these kind of norms that I grew up with. And what they're saying is if this man wins, and they believe that he will, the polling in Europe is showing Trump will win. I don't think so. I think he loses by a hair, but only if we come out to vote. And the reason I say by a hair is because RFK is taking he's taking a chunk. We don't know. I mean, he's polling right 10, 13%. So that's taking votes from somebody. Some folks are saying it's from Trump. Some polling says it's from Trump. Some polling says it's from Biden. And then you've got Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Melina Abdullah, the two PhD ticket, who are, our colleagues here. And they're definitely, one would think they would take from Biden, because progressive Dems who don't want to vote for Biden, whether it's because of the move he is making at the border, or whether it is because of the way that he is handling Israel's campaign in Gaza, that doesn't matter. Many of those folks would not head to RFK. They would head to Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah. I've actually talked with Dr. Abdullah about this, and what she says the data is showing her is that a lot of voters who weren't going to vote at all because they were too disillusioned with both parties are going to vote for them. So actually her argument was that they're bringing more voters into the polling places who will then vote down ballot on other things, congressional races, mayoral races, whatever, dog catcher, whatever races that could be key and important to not only get control, hopefully we can get control of the House of Representatives so we don't have to watch the poop show that is Marjorie Taylor Greene and friends. And also local elections, which seem to be more important than ever, because when Washington, D.C. turns into crazy town like it is right now, it's more important than ever, I think, to be able to elect the mayor that you want, and to be able to do what you want to do on a state and local level around issues of importance like Medicare for all, like reparations, like progressive issues that play out on the local level and oftentimes build momentum on the national level. And we're looking at that right now. And, again, this happened and no one's talking about it. I think, we can blame Democrats for not being effective enough or disciplined enough in spreading their own talking points. But why are people not paying attention? We've ranted, raved, we've complained and rallied for years to have cannabis rescheduled, right? To be considered in the category of Tylenol instead of in the category of methamphetamine and heroin that kill people. And the Biden administration is doing it. And crickets. Is it because we become jaded because states have decriminalized or legalized recreational cannabis, and that we're sort of taking it for granted? Well, guess what? People still go to jail for it in states where it ain't legal. And if you're caught with it in the airport, you got a problem because that's federal territory, okay? Take the blunts, take the pre-rolls out of your luggage, and do not carry them with you. And I say this to say, not that that's the be-all and end-all of politics for me, obviously. The slaughter that's going on, the genocide that's going on right now in Gaza is a priority. The genocide that's going on in Congo is a priority, needs to be a priority. But I say this to say that, what is Europe seeing that maybe we're not? That makes them think, number one, they're convinced that Donald Trump will be the next president. And number two, that should that happen, it means the fall of America. And what I mean by the fall of America is the fall of our system of government. We're still going to live here. We're still going to call ourselves America. We're still going to do the best we can to raise our kids in a completely unregulated, apocalyptic kind of environment. Unregulated. That's not me being an alarmist. We just talked to Irys Kornbluth of Everywhere Apparel about small changes big and large, corporate and personal, that we can make to save the planet. But Project 2025 lays out the actual abolition of certain, agencies that we rely on, and the complete commitment to deregulation. That's a free-for-all. That's not me making that up. That's a doomsday prediction for us, because it means oil companies can do as they please, polluting our air, our water, our land, even our brains with the microplastics. You know what I'm saying? It means that financial institutions can rip you off at will. I was shocked that the Supreme Court even upheld the Consumer Protection Agency that Republicans have railed against. But yet, under Project 2025, would it stand? Would it even be effective if it does stand, when now manned by a bunch of people trained by far-right conservative foundations to be political operatives rather than public servants? That's why it seems like all hell is broken loose, and perhaps I hang on to those small victories small and large, that can propel our momentum in remembering that, no, it's not inevitable that this dude gets elected. No, it's not inevitable that our planet becomes unlivable for human beings. Those things are not inevitable if we show up. And we have to keep telling ourselves that, because otherwise we throw up our hands and say, what's the use? The end is near. Let me go, smoke some weed and watch TV. Not that I have anything against that, if that's what you want to do, but the mindset that we can't do anything about it, so I give up, that to me is the real danger for black people, for progressives, for women right now. Well, they overturned Roe v. Wade. Contraception is next. DEI is next. CRT is next. You and me is next. DEI must die. You don't think that's code? Yeah, but it is not at all too late. And we are not giving up. Love to hear from you, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Have you been a victim of discrimination at a private business, by a landlord while seeking housing, by an employer, or by an academic institution? If so, the LA Civil Rights Department may be able to help. Please contact us at CRE@lacity.org or call 213-978-1845. Again, 213-978-1845, or visit laisforeveryone.com.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Not 100% sure I would want to go to space in a Boeing after the windows flew out on those planes. But that's what's happening right now. Boeing and NASA are going to launch the Starliner. And that's happening right now as we speak. Meanwhile, okay, let's look at a couple little victories since I went on my little hell in a handbasket rant. Sorry about that. LA County, Holly Mitchell has introduced a motion that has successfully passed the LA County Board of Supervisors on reparations. This motion tells the CEO, the county CEO, the director of the Racial Equity for the Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiative to review the California Task Force report on reparations and then report back to the board in 120 days with some recommendations for local reparation efforts. And I think one of the things that's really important about this, we'll talk more about it on Friday. We do our Freedman Fridays every week where we look at what's happening in the reparation space and the incredible progress that keeps being made in spite of all the misinformation and fighting and such. We keep seeing progress. One of the things I think is really important, aside from the fact that they decide to vote yes for on reparations on my B-Day, is that this idea of taking the work that the California Reparations Task Force has done, they spent 2 years on it, and then instead of saying we're going to reinvent the wheel, saying, okay, look, you've got a whole study, you've got recommendations, look at these, we'll give you 3 months, and then report back what we should do on the county level. And I feel like that's what a lot of people have been saying should be done on the federal level as well. Okay, yeah, there additional study may be needed. You may want to extrapolate, but the first place to start is let's look at what California's done. Let's look at the study and work that's been done by reparations commissions and task forces across the country, compile what they have, see how it applies to us, and make some recommendations. That's why some people would like to skip over H.R. 40 or revamp H.R. 40 to include where we are right now, which would need to factor in the work of the California Reparations Task Force, Evanston, and other local efforts. So what they're saying is they want to make reparations, this is the Board of Supervisors language, to historically disenfranchised black residents and they're talking about free admissions to things, different kinds of things that they could do on the county level. So that's definitely goes in the victory category in terms of the fact that it passed, the fact that we will see a report back in 120 days, and the fact that they're basing it on the work that's already been done by the California Reparations Task Force. That makes it that much more important and worthy of talking about. And so props going out to Holly Mitchell, supervisor for District 2, for putting that through and having the clout to get it across the finish line. A great, I think, offering in the spirit of Juneteenth. Okay, back to the 12 Kinds of Crazy. Judge Eileen Cannon, remember, she's the Trump judge who is over the case in Florida, the federal case against Trump in Florida. Well, now she's decided to hold a hearing about whether Jack Smith, the special counsel, is a legit choice to lead this this investigation, this prosecution. And this is something Trump asked for. Again, the reason I put it in the category of 12 Kinds of Crazy, you've got judges right now who have clear agendas, clear conflicts of interest, and no one seems to care. You're a Trump-appointed judge. You're a junior judge who was supposedly randomly selected to be on this case, and now is taking it upon yourself to decide whether the Justice Department has a right to appoint a special prosecutor to prosecute, because that's not what special prosecutors have been doing for the Justice Department since there was a Justice Department. At the same time, the Looney Tunes are holding hearings about whether we should defund the FBI. Look, I'm a COINTELPRO baby. I'm not like the biggest FBI stan. But when you have these folks who just literally want the reason, why do they want to dismantle the FBI? I mean, I'm not in love with the FBI, but the FBI were the feds were the ones that have investigated hate crimes, white supremacy, enforced the desegregation. That's the feds, right? So when they say defund the FBI, they're not saying Black Lives Matter. They're saying we want to make sure they don't. We want no enforcement. We want no accountability. And I mean, Justice Alito can fly an upside-down flag at his house, blame his wife, fly another so-called Stop the Steal flag at his vacation home, and doesn't have to recuse himself from voting on January 6th insurrection cases. And now this Eileen Cannon going to take it upon herself to decide who the Justice Department can appoint as special counsel. Meanwhile, we're seriously focusing our entire national attention on whether or not Hunter Biden lied on his application for a gun, to buy a gun, by saying he wasn't a drug addict. I mean, who puts "I am a drug addict" on any application for anything? I'm not saying that it's okay for him to be a drug addict and have guns, but I'm saying, is this a matter of national emergency that we have to focus on 24 hours a day? Every family has their F up. Hunter Biden is the Biden family's. Handle it. Let's deal with the pressing issues of the day. We're going to Derek, calling us from Colorado. Good morning, Derek.
I'm doing okay. Hopefully, you'll be able to put me on another line. I just had some questions to make.
Well, you're on the air right now. I don't know what other line you're talking about, but you're on the radio, and you got 2 minutes till news, traffic, and sports. Use it wisely, Derek.
Well, can I go to the other line? Because I'll need some more time. Okay?
No, you can't go to the other line. You could call back. Yeah, we'll have Dr. Gerald Horn. But why don't you start since you started?
Okay, real quick. You were talking about the thing with the lady and the. You were talking about the microplastics. There's been some studies, and it does affect your liver, your kidneys, your target organs. And also, Neil Gorsuch says, I don't like to talk about somebody's mother, but his mom, Ann Gorsuch, if you remember, she was EPA administrator during Reagan.
I do not remember.
And she was the one they had. Yeah, she had some kind of thing. She didn't believe in all that kind of stuff. And they had some place in Colorado. They were trying to get the soil down to 3 inches or 4 inches, digging it up. She said, no, it's costing too much money doing an inch. And it went back and forth. But I don't wish it well. I don't wish well on anybody's mother or anything. But maybe she wound up dying due to some kind of cancer or something like that.
Wow, I didn't hear about that. That's crazy. Yeah, we know that microplastics are bad for us. When I said not enough studies, we don't know all of the diseases and all of the malfunctions that they can cause in the body. That's all I meant.
Yeah, they said they can get into your kidneys, your livers, because they're very small. And, they could bring, kidney disease. But, she actually did die due to some kind of cancer.
Wow, that's crazy.
But she was the one that was really pushing it. And I'm glad you brought these things up because people were just saying, your water you drink is so important.
Yeah.
I know he was just saying that, what's a little arsenic going to do to you?
Yeah, ask the dead people, Derek. All right, stay with me if you want. Dr. Gerald Horn is joining us next. I'm really excited about it because there's so much to unpack and understand. And he's a scholar, he's an author, and one of the smartest people I know. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thanks for sharing a part of your Wednesday with us. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to approve a $17 billion investment deal with Disney World. The New York Sun says the deal will be announced today that could include new additions to the theme park, as well as commitments from Disney to help develop housing for its employees, with Florida promising to maintain the necessary